Hi people, you're welcome once again to my YouTube channel. My name is Unoma. So guys, in today's tutorial we're going to be using this lovely Ankara print to make this straight skirt with elastic waist. Okay, this skirt is not going to be having a zipper, it's just going to be having an elastic at both sides of the waist. Okay, so guys, before we start this tutorial, please, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please join this family by subscribing. Okay, please just hit on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and also remember to give this video a thumbs up. Okay, so let's dive right into the video. So right now I'm just going to go ahead to draw our starting point there, that line there. That's where our measurement will be starting from. That's where we're going to be taking our measurement from. So from that point I'll be locating my hip depth. Your hip depth is your waist to the fullest part of your hip. That's your hip depth. So that's where I just marked out right now. For me, I think it's about 9 inches here. So I just did that quickly. Then right now I'm going to be taking my waist measurement divided by 4. Okay, take whatever measurement you have on your waist circumference, you divide it by 4, add 1 inch for your dart, then 1 inches or 1.5 inches for your sewing allowance. I use 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. Okay, so I'm going to come down to my hip, take my hip measurement divided by 4, then just 1 inch, 1.5 inch or 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, at the hip, because the dart is not going to get to the hip area. Okay, so from that waist, sorry guys, I forgot to say something. I actually used my hip measurement for my waist. Okay, I used it because this skirt is going to be having elastic. Yes, sorry, I forgot to tell you guys. I used the hip measurement divided by 4 for my waist, and also the same hip measurement divided by 4 for my hip. Okay, so right now I'm taking my skirt length from my waist to my skirt length. Remember guys, this skirt is going to be having a 1 inch band, which our elastic will be in. So before you take the length, remove that 1 inch, then you take whatever length you want. Okay, then for that point I just took my length, then I added 1 inch to it, because I will be using my lining to turn it inwards. Okay, so when I'm also cutting my lining, I'll cut it shorter than this by 1 inch, so that the 1 inch I left will be the allowance I use in turning it inwards. Okay, I hope you guys understand. So I just rolled that line there. Now I'm going to be taking the measurement for that the skirt, because I want this skirt to be pencil. So I'll measure whatever I have on my hip area, and I'll be minusing 1 inch from whatever measurement I have on my hip. That is what I'll be using for my hem. Okay, so I'll have this pencil shape. If you don't want a pencil shape, you can just take your hip measurement straight down to the length of the dress. But for me, I minus 1 inch from the length of my dress. Okay, so I've just done that, and I connected it back to the hip. So right now I'll go ahead and cut this out. So I just adjusted my camera so you can see when I'm taking it upwards. So I just cut it out basically like so. So cut that part which I started my measurement from. Yeah. So yeah, the front part is out. This is the front part of our skirt. So I'll be folding my fabric again to cut out the back. I'll be using this to cut out the back. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric again into 2, and I placed my front skirt on top of the back. So I'm going to be using this to cut out my back. And as you can see guys, I left 1 inch at the end. That is going to be serving as my zipper allowance. Okay, actually this skirt is not going to be having a zipper, but it's going to be having a slit at the back, so it's also the same thing. I'll just leave that space like a zipper allowance because it's also going to be having a slit at the back, so I'll just be joining it together from top to where my slit is going to be stopping. Okay, so at that middle point I came up by 1 inch guys. This is so the skirt will be able to accommodate the butt. Okay, then I'm going to be ruling a slant line. At the sides is going to be equal. It's just at the middle of the back that is going to be higher by 1 inch. You can even go as high as 1.5 depending on your clients. Okay, so I'll just cut it out like so. So from that point, I want to determine my zipper. Okay, so actually it's not going to have a zipper, yes, but we're still going to be cutting this out like it's going to be having a zipper. Okay, so that point I'm going to slide this cloth upwards so you can see what I'm about to do at the bottom part of the skirt. So from that point I'll be coming from the bottom part of the skirt. I'll be coming up by 20 to 21 inch. That will serve as my slit at the back. Okay, the slit opening at the back. So I'll be slitting it open from that point to the 20 inches I measured. So that's my slit area. So from that point now I'll just slide this cloth back up. So remember I ruled 8 inches there at the upper part there, so I just use that as a guide so I can know where my slant is going to be coming from. If you guys are following this channel rather, you will notice I always do this to my gown, the bottom part of my gown and my skirt. Okay, this gives it a very good fit at the back. It doesn't allow your skirt to have this funny bulge you always have at the back or underneath your butt. Okay, so I'm just going to slant it from that point to meet the area where I marked my slit opening. So I'll just cut it like so. If you try this out for your skirts, for your dresses, you really love the outcome. So then I'll open it up from there straight to the waist area. So now I'm simply marking out my darts. Okay, and this 4 inches here, then the length of my dart is 4.5 inches. So I'll just connect it straight like so. Then I'll mark half an inch on both sides of that line. Okay, half an inch on both sides of the line, then I connect it with a slanted shape to meet the 4.5 inches length. So when I'm sewing like that, I'll just be taking it like so. I'll just be stitching it like so. So I'll transfer that dart as well to the back. I'm transferring the dart to the back piece. I'm just going to be notching it so that I'll know where my dart will fall at my back piece. So I'm going to be removing 1 inch at the front area. I'll just be slanting it to meet that part. You know, the front of our skirt is not always straight. Always minus 1 inch at the middle and slant it to meet the side, like so. Just cut it out. So I'm just transferring the length of the dart to the back piece. Then I'll also come by half an inch on both sides of that line and connect it back to the length of my dart. Then I'll slant it at both sides as well. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. So yeah. So I'm just chalking this fabric. The front and back almost look alike. So this chalk here will help me so that I will not mistakenly take the back for the front. So guys, I've gone ahead to turn my lining I cut out the lining, turned the lining with the Ankara. You can see we have our 1 inch which we left at the bottom part of our skirt, and also I minus 1 inch from the lining when I was cutting it, so that when I finish sewing it can pull it up by that 1 inch, so the Ankara piece will be showing by 1 inch inside. So this is the back, is showing by 1 inch, and this is the front part. You can see how neat the front is. Okay, always turn your straight skirts, straight dresses like this. It gives a very nice finishing. So I also went ahead to also hold the side with the allowances I left at the sides as well. Okay, I turned the skirt with the lining neatly inside, and you can see that part I told you won't have a zipper. I just held it straight down to the point of my slit. Okay, then this part I'm going to be hemming the slit area. I'm going to be hemming it down. I'll be pressing it down like so, then I'll put hem gum and use it to hem it down neatly. So let me just flip this skirt inside out. So I've flipped it over to the right side. So this is the waist area. So this is actually the center of concentration here for this skirt. Okay, so this is the down part. You can see how neat our skirt is laying already. So right now we're about to make the band for the waist. Okay, so now we're going to be measuring what we have at the waist, the circumference we have at the waist. So that's what will determine how we're going to be cutting out our band. Okay, so I'm just going to measure what we have at the waist, round the waist. So put my tape on, so then take it round. Yeah, so here we have 42 inches, or sorry, 44 inches. We have 44 inches here. So I'm going to be cutting out a long strap of 44 inches. I made it 45 inches because of the stitching at the end. Okay, so I unfold right now. My strap is, the width is actually 1.5 inches because I want a band of 1 inch. By the time I finish sewing, it will become 1 inch. That half inch there will be 1.5. So the width is actually 45. The length is actually 45, while the width is unfold 1.5. So when you open it up, we have 3 inches. Okay, for the width. So I'm going to be taking to the ironing table right now. I'm going to be pressing it down like so into 2. I'm going to be pressing it flat like so. Then I'll press it flat. Then I'll fold it by half an inch at one end, just one end. Okay, one side, just fold one side by half an inch and press it down as well. To the other side that you did not press in, you sew it to the waist area. Before using this area you pressed in to top stitch your band neatly. So let me just go and do that, and I'll come back to show you guys. So guys, I've gone ahead to press it down. You can see what we have here. You can see the ½ inch that I did not press out. You can also see how I pressed in ½ inch. Okay, so right now I'm going to be folding it like so. I want to notch the middle point there so that I will, yes, I'm just notching the middle point there, so I know I'll be matching it up with the middle point, the midpoint of my skirt. I'm just going to bring in my skirt and match it with the midpoint of my skirt. Okay, I'm going to be starting from the middle. So my skirt there, you can see the notch there for my midpoint, the midpoint of my skirt. So I'm going to bring in the band. I'm going to be matching right side of the band to the wrong side of my skirt, like so. Right side to the wrong side. Okay, you can see at that point where that part side where I did not fold in. Okay, just that part alone, I'll be stitching it down from that midpoint there round. And once I get to the end at the back, I'll come to this other side and also stitch it down at this other end, this other side. So once I'm done stitching, I'll be bringing the folded part on top of it. So I'm going to be sandwiching this or the other rough edges in between my band. Okay, so I'm going to be placing it like so, then I'll just run a top stitch. I'll just top stitch on top of my band neatly. That part I ironed will help me, so I don't have to struggle that much. I just place and top stitch it basically. So let me first of all go ahead to sew the first part to it, then I'll come back to show you guys. So I've gone ahead to do that. You can see what we have here. I've stitched it the right side to the wrong side of the skirt. And you can see the folded part. I flip it to the front. You can see how this ironing helped us. Flip it to the front, then top stitch on it. Flip it all to the front and just simply top stitch. For the back area, you know, we had to, when I got to that zipper point at the back, that zipper line at the back, I joined it there. Okay, that was where I did my joining of the band neatly, as you can see. So the line is corresponding, so I'll just open that seam like so, then flip and also top stitch. The line of the joining of the band also will correspond with the line of the skirt. Okay, it will rhyme. So now what we're going to be doing when stitching, you know, our elastic is going to be staying at the both sides of our skirts. So to determine that, we're going to be measuring how long we want our elastic to be. Okay, so for me, from the midpoint of the side, from the side seam, I'm going to be taking 6 inches on both sides. This is 6 inches. I'm just marking that point there. I'll take 6 inches as well at the other side, like so. I'll mark it as well. You can see the chop there. I think this side is not showing properly. Let me mark it. Yeah, it's showing now. So I'm going to stitch. Once I get to that point that I marked, I'm going to be leaving like 1 inch gap space. So that's where my elastic is going to be passing through. So once I leave that 1 inch space, okay, once I leave the 1 inch space, I will continue stitching till I get to almost to the part where the mark is. I'm going to be leaving 1 inch as well there where my elastic is also going to be passing through. Then I continue from the line round, and when I get to this point as well, I'm going to be marking my 6 inches on both sides and also repeat the same thing. Okay, so guys, I've gone ahead to stitch this down. You can see the hole which we left, so we have 2 on both sides where our elastic is going to be passing through. So our elastic is going to be passing through these holes that we left. As you can see, yeah, you can see. So we have 2 openings on both sides. So right now the length in total is 12 inches from one opening to the other opening is 12 inches. Okay, so our elastic has to be shorter than 12 inches. So let me just measure what we have to be sure. So yeah, you can see we have 12 inches there. So right now I'm measuring and I'm using an elastic of 8 inches. Okay, so I actually removed 4 inches from 12 inches. Okay, I use 8 inches because we are also going to be passing the elastic, as in the elastic is going to be passing that point so that we can stitch it down. So it actually has an excess, as in an allowance we're going to be using. Okay, so there'll be some excess inside the other part of the skirt. So I'm going to be using my safety pin to pass my elastic through the casing. Guys, please, when passing this, make sure you secure the other end of your elastic so that it doesn't run into the casing. So I just held it down like so. So I've gotten to the other opening. I'm just going to be bringing it out, pulling it out, yeah, like so. So once I've pulled it out very well, I'll just carefully take out my safety pin. Then I'll use my scissors to push that excess back inside the hole. Okay, so I'll just be stitching it down. But when you push this inside, I have some excesses at the inside the casing, so I'm just going to stitch it down like so. I'm also going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm also going to be using my scissors to push it inside like so. That's why I actually cut out 8 inches, because we're going to be using like about almost an inch, yeah, for the sewing allowance, the one that will be inside the other side. So that's why I actually use 8 inches. Okay, so please, when you've done this, don't pull the elastic yet. You just carefully, you can even go in with your pin so that it doesn't run back inside. So I'm just going to be stitching it at both sides. So it's safer to use your pin to hold this down, please, especially if you're a beginner. Just use your pins to hold them down so that it doesn't run back inside. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch that part. Then once I'm done, I'm going to be top stitching the hole, as in to close it up. So let me quickly do that and come back to show you. I'll show you. Okay, yes guys, so I've done that to the other side of the skirt as well. You can see how our elastic is already, and this is the back, this is the front. You can see how our band is already. So guys, if you've watched this far, please, if you've not subscribed, please, I'm reminding you guys again, please subscribe to this channel. Alright, like this video, please, it's very important, and turn on your notification bell. Look at our band, Look at our elastic. I'm just bringing this closer so you can see. So this is the finished look of our skirt. I actually hung the top on it, but I didn't want the top to show here. That's why I raised it up. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.